Hi Gems, welcome to your full moon read. So this is going to be a full moon in Gemini, which is tonight. So like the video and comment, and if you want to book your own full moon read, you can. If you want to book 2026, everything is available in the description box below. If you want to book a session or a personal read with me, if you want to join the membership, there is Gemini reads on there, and I'm going to be back to doing content at the end of the week and the beginning of next. I did do the Gemini for this week, but with the full moon, it just did not work out. I tried a million times to get this upload and to put it up. It just would not upload. So let's focus on this. Like the video, comment, tell me how you're feeling because the full moon is tonight. So people are going to be feeling a certain kind of way. And so I'm going to say that this full moon, if for you, is around truths. So some of years, what I'm actually getting is that you're living in a life, but it's not authentic. And I do think that some of years have kind of built your life off trauma bonding. Some of years went through a series of events in your childhood. You can see that with this Page of Swords, because that's you. So you went through a series of events in your childhood, and I do think this full moon is very, very powerful because it's about the life that we create through the belief system of our parents, of our culture, of it's almost like the world projects onto us who we should be. This is a very, very powerful full moon, not for every Gemini, but for a lot of Geminis who are kind of sitting in a life and they feel like an imposter. They feel like fake. They feel phony. They feel disconnected from the authentic self. This full moon is going to be powerful because it's all about our belief system. It's like, where did my belief system come from? If you are following a certain religion, if you are living in a certain way, maybe you're doing it more from an unconscious place. Maybe you're doing it more from trying to please the world instead of being true to yourself. So another powerful message I'm getting is that some of yous are, like I said, I do think this is about an identity crisis, and I just said that really strongly. What I mean by this is where you can no longer live the lie, even if your safety depends on it. Like you'll do the harder things. You can no longer go to this job. You can no longer live out through this false identity. You can no longer pretend. So for the Geminis tonight who are feeling very, very uncomfortable, I understand it's not pleasant, right? It's not nice to feel like that. But sometimes it's the thing that makes you say enough's enough. I don't care what the consequences are. I don't care who I piss off. I don't care. I've got to do what works for me. So some of you might be getting a lot of turbulence in your womb because especially for the Gemini who's the feminine, this is where you feel an emotional chaos. You know, your emotions are being stirred up. And remember, the full moon is tonight, but some of you might have been feeling like this for the last few days. Some of you might still be feeling like this for the rest of the week. So just because we have a full moon on a certain day doesn't mean that it's all going to happen on that day. It can, but sometimes it can stir up before or sometimes it can stir up after. So we do have this Queen of Wands in the center. In some years, it's an active enemy. So this is someone who's been creating a great deal of problems in your life for a long, long time. And I just think that some Geminis need to look honestly at themselves at this time. And you need to look at the people in your life and kind of the audacity of some people. There's something now that can no longer be ignored because what is being done in your life is far too costly. In other words, whoever these people are or this person is who's causing this problem is actively seeking to destroy you or to take something from you. And at the end of the day, there's times in your life where you don't say nothing, you put your head down, you shut up and you put up. But there's times in your life where you must deal with things. And that's really what this is about. Now, again, this is just a collective read, so it's going to be different for every Gemini. Some of you have got a Gemini moon, some of you have got a Gemini sun. But what you're being told now is that it's time to confront yourself and kind of the identity that you're living out through. And it's time to think about what the future looks like if you keep doing that, right? We do have the Seven of Cups. So the Seven of Cups is at this time, some of you might be feeling like really tired, really disorientated. Another message I'm getting at this time, though, is your dreams are really going to be activated. But I feel like your dreams are not random because that's what the Seven of Cups is. The Seven of Cups is where, say, for example, the divine can't get through on a conscious level, it will find other ways to get through. And I'm getting for some of you, like I know mine have been. So I didn't dream for ages, but lately I've been having like non-stop dreams, right? And I feel like it's not random. I feel like your dreams really, really want to convey something to you at this time. They really want to give you a message about certain people, and I would pay attention. So we've also got the Wheel of Fortune. For those who are kind of like, but Elisa, like, I can't remember my dreams, then maybe there's nothing there. You know, sometimes we don't dream because our unconscious is not filtering, it's not working anything out. Sometimes I believe that dreams are like data. So it's information we need, or it's things we need to work out. And so if you're not dreaming, don't panic. It could just mean there's not really data to be worked out. In other words, your unconscious is okay, or the divine is not trying to work through you. A good example is lately people have been reaching out for ancestor reads, past life reads. Like they're not really focused on basic reads, 2026 as well. But the one that they've really been going after is the ancestor and the past life. And I thought that that was quite interesting. So I do think that for Geminis, we've got this Wheel of Fortune. Some of years, again, it's just like you're getting to the end of this year and you're just like, I can't do this in 2026. Like, I can't keep being this version. I can't keep living in this place. I can't keep, like, I do think that some of years, if you keep certain people around you, you're just going to combust because there's a deep disgust, there's a deep hatred. That's another thing as well. Disgust does make you change, right? So when you become disgusted in a relationship, when you become disgusted in the way people treat you, when you become disgusted in yourself, that's where you can make big changes in your life. So I feel like a big message for Gemini right now is be okay, be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. In other words, it's not nice to have certain thoughts. It's not nice to feel certain things. It's not nice to judge people in certain ways, but sometimes you have to because that's the information that's going to help you to change. It's the information that's going to help you to get rid of people out of your life. I do think you need to watch how you handle things right now. And we do have the Temperance card. So I do think for a lot of you Geminis, either tonight or in the days to come, see the way you've got this Temperance card. So this is the Archangel that's coming through. This is what I'm getting. I'm getting that you've got some kind of divine guide, you've got some kind of archangel, you've got some kind of divine messages that are coming through strongly. And I do think because you're not handling things too well in your wake state, what the divine is doing is when you meditate, it's bringing messages. When you sleep, it's bringing messages. Now, see the way you've got the Two of Swords? So the Two of Swords is, again, the blindfold, the crossing of the heart. Like some of years, you're trying to protect yourself. You don't want to see certain truths. That's what this is with this. You don't want to see certain truths, right? That's why the woman is wearing the blindfold and she's just like trying to protect herself. I think that's what you've been trying to do. You've been trying to protect yourself. You've been trying not to see certain things about yourself. Some of you, this is to do with your childhood. Okay. What I mean by this is some of you, there was wounding in your childhood, and I think you've closed yourself off from it and you've buried it and you just don't look at it. Okay. But you know what they say, what you resist, persist. So what I'm getting is that some of you have pushed things deep down, but they are controlling your life. They're almost dictating your choices, and your choices become your reality, right? So because you've pushed things down, there's also something with Geminis though, where you do need to look at yourself and you do need to develop yourself. I do think for some Geminis, like there's a lot of projection outwards. You focus a lot on other people, and I think it does give people power. I think people know that you care. And I do think there is a strong message for Geminis, which is if the strangers, if the people who bring no value to your life, they do not matter. Like I do think for a lot of Geminis, like the people, these certain people do not have any power. The only power they have is to be able to get inside your head and make you care about them. They're nobody, right? I think Gemini is like, it really is for you this full moon, and some of you are really going to be feeling it, but it's about the year you want to live in 2026 because you've got the Wheel of Fortune. So the Wheel of Fortune is about a new cycle. It doesn't mean we start in 2026. You can start now, right? But it's a new chapter. It's a new cycle. Um, And we have like, we see the way we've got this King of Pentacles and we've got this Queen of Wands. These can be people who are affecting your life in some way. But the other side of the coin is these can also be people who help you, or these can, so the Queen of Wands, for example, she could be a Reiki healer. The King of Pentacles can be a financial advisor, you know, a fucking crypto bro. You know, this can be someone who you watch on the internet and they fundamentally change your life. The Queen of Wands can be someone who you go to for Reiki or healing, and this, or maybe it's a tarot reader, but this can be someone who's pivotal in your life. Again, I think this is very, very complex because there's many different stories, but this full moon in Gemini is going to make you uncomfortable. And I think the reason for it is some of you have got to rip the blindfold off. Your destiny is dependent on the choices you make now. I think some of you are in some kind of vulnerable position, but you've got to be careful because the choices you make at this time, I think there's big decisions coming in your life, but the choices you make at this time are going to really dictate the next few years. It's that powerful. And again, it's just about, I don't know where Gemini is gone, but I'm not judging you because I understand. I do think a lot of Geminis, they reach out to me and they say, Lisa, you know, I just don't feel right. I feel like I'm being spiritually attacked, and some of yous are. But again, if the devil is attacking you through these people, it's because the devil fears you, because you do not attack what you don't fear. These people who pay a lot of attention to you, if they didn't care, they wouldn't focus on you. They care. They want something. I think it's time that Gemini took its energy back, took its power back. And it's not about caring about people at all. Like, it's not sitting there going, I just don't give about anybody. But there's a lot of people who mean nothing to you. They're nobody. And you've got to get to that point where it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but there's something about Gemini taking their energy back, taking the power back, doing what makes them happy, no longer caring, right? I think Geminis do get a lot of attention, but it's because the kind of power you've got, the kind of aura you've got, the kind of intelligence you've got. A lot of people do crave what you've got, and they can be jealous, right? And they can cause you problems for that, right? Could be in a job, could be matrix, you know, because Geminis are truth speakers. We don't like matrix people. That rubs them up the wrong way. We're very independent. Can't sit with us. We don't care. We just don't run it. We don't run like that, right? So, but I think a lot of you Geminis, it's about your reactions to things. It's about the way the power you're given to people, if that makes sense. Okay, so you can also see here, we've got this Eight of Pentacles and we've got the Ten of Pentacles. So I asked them, what is the biggest thing that Geminis can take from this full moon tonight? Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles. Now, the Ten of Pentacles can be the system, it can be the matrix if you want to focus on that. But I don't think it's about that. I think this is about breaking out of matrix think. I think this is about the Ten of Pentacles. Remember what we've just said. There is choices that you are making now and decisions that you are making now that are going to have far-reaching consequences. This doesn't have to be bad. The far-reaching consequences could be you end up in the Ten of Pentacles, which is, you know, F you rich and in a very good position and very powerful, right? Ten of Pentacles, though, is we talked about this could have effect for many years to come. So some of you are making decisions now that could last the next decade. There's something with this full moon where it is truly, truly powerful. For the Geminis who are really, really taking this seriously, I want you to pay attention to dreams you've had in the last few days, dreams you have definitely tonight, dreams that you have in the next few days to come. This is about, like I said, I know some of you are being challenged. I know some of you are being tested. I know the enemy is just waiting and trying and playing every game in the book. But Gemini, it's time to focus on you. It's time to take your mind back. It's time to take your power back. Because I feel like you've got a big destiny with that Ten of Pentacles. Some years it's time to sit down and stop letting people guilt trip you. Stop letting your fears dictate to you. Like, sit down and think about who you really are and what you really want, and act from that. Right? I feel like the divine is supporting you. See this Temperance? I really love this. This is on my website. I've got the divine guidance as well. I've got all different reads. Check it out below if you want a personal. But the Temperance card is divine. In other words, the divine is sending messages. Some of you don't even need a read. In other words, you're picking them up because of the heightened full moon. You're picking them up. I think Gemini is what I'm saying is you have been a lot outwardly focused on people who are trying to sabotage you, on what people are saying, on what people are doing. I think it's time for Gemini to just not give a fuck. Let's just put it clear, like to just not care, to focus on you, right? I think a lot of you have guilt trip. You've been guilt tripped into taking certain actions, and it's just not what you want, right? I think some Geminis are just really, really tired. You're just really, really tired. And again, the Ten of Pentacles can also be the last decade's not been the easiest. The last decade could have been quite challenging. But I think a lot of good is coming for Geminis if they lean on their authentic self, if they move back into the power, if they say, you know what, I've spent enough time focused on the matrix. It's really about now. There's a lot of power that's been built because you know the kind of people you don't want to be around. You know the kind of life you want to live. Sometimes you have to go through the insufferable before you'll just get up and say no. Like, no, you know? I think some of you are battle hardened. So people who are trying to negotiate or people who are trying to play this game or that, it doesn't matter. It's like water off a duck's back, right? So what I mean is, like, say it's a person who is trying to convince you to be in a relationship. It's like, I've spent most of the time on my own. Maybe it's people who are trying to come back into your life who watched you when you was on your face. It's like, do you think I need you? Are you crazy? So I feel like a lot of the battles you've been through and a lot of the things you've lost and a lot of the challenges, tests, lessons, whatever you want to call it, it's all blessings. But like I said, I'm going to say, and that's what a full moon is about. A full moon is about you no longer focus on the external, because a full moon is one, the divine feminine, but it's the inner world. Man lives in two worlds, right? He lives in the external world and he lives in his own world. And I think it's time for Gemini in this full moon and the days to come to attend to your own world. Stop blaming, stop projecting, stop worrying about who's doing what. Focus on you, right? Like, think about how you are self-sabotaging. So some of you, for example, with the Seven of Cups, you could be sabotaging. See the way this person is in the shadow. So you've got this person in the dark. So this can be someone who's acting in the destroying themselves. Some of yours, it could be a lot of bitterness, a lot of resentment, maybe towards like what people have done to your life, maybe things from childhood. You just need to think, some of you need to heal. Maybe it's something like, remember we talked about being buried, like things have been buried. Maybe you don't want to go back and confront those memories, but sometimes you have to, because what you resist persists, right? If you don't, energy can't be destroyed, it can only be transmuted. This can be physical companions, people you've been intimate with. These people could be embedded in your energy. Maybe this Queen of Wands is going to help you to clear that energy, right? A lot of you Geminis, I'm just going to say that this full moon is so, so powerful. And again, I understand, like, some of you, you're kind of in survival mode and it's just like you keep putting it off and you keep putting it off. But the universe, I feel like this archangel is saying that I've got your back. Like, what's with all the fear? What's with allowing these matrix dominate you? Like, you're above that. You've done what these people have done. It's not that you're better than them, but people are on different levels. And Gemini, you're on a different level. And that's it. Right? We understand what this is, but it's, you're on a different level. You've been there, you've done that, you got the t-shirt, right? So a lot of you Geminis now, if you really want advice for this full moon, you're being told to think about what you're doing now is going to have far-reaching consequences. You're talking, it's going to affect your life for maybe the next decade, right? Some of you have got to stop letting your fears get in the way because you're sabotaging yourself. So, for example, love could be in your life, but you could be sabotaging yourself because of things that happened years ago, right? So, actually, sometimes we're being given the thing we want, but we actively sabotage it because of fear, because of past memory, because of past experiences. Could be, for example, people come into your life, maybe this King of Wands, this King of Pentacles, this Queen of Wands are good people and they're genuine. But because you're so used to not so good people, you tar those people with the same brush, right? Let me see if there's any other messages. Ooh, the Empress. There you go. So especially, I think this is for both the Gemini man and the Gemini woman. I mean, for the Gemini man, you could be meeting the woman who's going to be your wife, the mother of your kids, because we've got the Temperance. So this is a divine connection that's being sent. For the Wheel of Fortune is your destiny. This is someone you're going to build a solid life with. This is someone who they anchor you. So because you get serious about your life and you're married and you're settled down, and you're no longer being that playboy, or you're no longer kind of flitting about, because that's what the Seven of Cups is. This is someone who's like in the candy shop trying everything. Because you're actually stable and anchored, that's where you achieve the money you've always wanted, the security within yourself that you always wanted. But yes, I mean, for the Gemini woman, this could be for you. Some of you might already know the person you're going to be with, right? Because we've got this King of Pentacles. So some of you might already know the person you're going to be. Right, I've only got 25 minutes, so I'm going to carry on, see if there's any other messages. Two of Wands, can you make it up? So the Two of Wands is it changing your life. I always see the Two of Wands is see the way the man is holding the ball. So what this man is doing is he's focused on the world he's in. He holds the ball because he's holds the world in his hands. That's another metaphor, that you hold the world in your hands. That what you focus on creates the world that you're in. I think honestly, Gemini and you are not going to like this, and it's going to be painful. And some of you, these whoever these people are, I'm not saying it's these particular people. I'm not saying people have not done things to you. I know what Geminis have encountered. I'm a Gemini. But I don't think it's been in vain. I think you can use, like we talked about, the betrayals, the damage, the losses, whatever, to your advantage. I really do. But I think the message is by taking accountability, by taking the blindfold off, by looking at uncomfortable truths, by looking at where you're just free falling through your life, where you're ignoring things, where you're putting things off that need to be dealt with, whether it be your own healing, whether it be changing a job, whether it be relocating, whether it be getting out of a relationship that deep in your core, you know that that's not the person for you. It's really about that now. It's really about, okay, like, because there's a problem with Gemini where, because they're not being honest with themselves, because they've got blind spots, because they're not seeking coaching or teachers or healing, it's giving the external world and these enemies a lot more power. I honestly get that if you really step into your truth and you know what we're like, when you're not going to call me on my truth, because I'm going to do that before you're going to do that. You're not going to do it. Geminis need to move back into that type of power. And what I'm saying is put the focus onto yourself. In other words, where you're sabotaging, where you're turning a blind eye, where you're not confronting things. That's what this full moon is about. But I would say that this full moon is an opportunity if you are living in an imposter's life. So an imposter's life is where when you look in the mirror, or it's kind of a bit like you're living a life, but you feel like you're watching someone else's life. It's like you're in the life, but it just doesn't feel like you. And so there might be an opportunity in this full moon to like really get divine insight, messages, guidance. And I feel like that's what the divine is saying. The divine is saying, but they want you to be still right now. You maybe meditate tonight, maybe do some ritual stuff, maybe get a tarot read, maybe go get a deep tissue massage. The more you can slow down now and in the days to come, I think there's going to be powerful messages that come through. And sometimes we're just stuck, right? We need guidance, we need clarity. So you've got to determine the person that you will go to, who you feel drawn to give you that clarity. Because sometimes we don't understand what we want in our life. We do have blind spots. We do need someone to work with us. But I'm telling you now, Gemini, now's not the time to be acting Page of Swords. Now's the time to be quiet. Now's the time to calm yourself down. Now's the time to let the universe and this guardian angel with the temperance work through you. Because they're coming with insight, they're coming with information, right? Your dreams are coming with information. And I would say use this time to not give a about anybody or anything else. I think Geminis need to take the power back. They've kind of lost themselves to the mind. They're very like twitchy, they're very focused on everything and everyone. This is a time to pull into you and let your inner world reveal to you, you know, what needs to change, what needs to end, or maybe what you need to be grateful for. Because maybe some of you have got the things you want, but maybe with the Seven of Cups, you're thinking maybe the grass is greener on the other side. Maybe you want a bit more. And in that way, you can, what they say, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. So sometimes you've got things that will make you very happy. You've got good stuff going on in your life, but you can't see it. So be careful. If you want a private, it's in the description box below. I'm going to try and get more reads out. I did this really fast. Enjoy your read, comment below, let me know what you thought, and I'll speak to you soon.